You have to accept that when you was younger, what you were doing is not helping you now. What we do today shape our world tomorrow. What we did in the past put us where we are today. Inflation is never going anywhere. The value of the dollar has been decreasing, I believe, since 1950. Maybe even earlier, maybe a little after, but we're in the year 2024. So you do the math. Inflation was always around, and it never will leave. It's always going to be here, so you have work to do. You have work to catch up for where you was lacking, and you have work to continue to do forward and pass that down from generation after generation. See, we have to be honest with ourselves. When we were supposed to be going to school to learn, let's say STEM jobs, science, technology, engineering, and math, some of the highest paying jobs, when we were supposed to go to school to learn and to put ourselves in a position to get free scholarships, we wasn't doing it. When we was going to school to learn, instead, we was going to school to look cool. We was going to school to show off who had the best shoes, who can get the prettiest girl in school, who was the best athlete. Now, I'm not knocking any of that, but those habits, those behaviors have a consequence. See, when we was going to school, we wasn't paying attention to the fact that what we was doing in those moments was critical for our future. Life was never meant to be easy. We're not here to survive, man. We're here to thrive. And the earlier, the better. Now, some of us, we're not fortunate enough to learn this from our parents and our grandparents. But we also had opportunities that our parents and grandparents didn't have. And it was our job, our duty to learn what was necessary. See, you could have went to school, got a degree, so you can go get a job, 401k. You could have done all that. And you also could have learned how to be a scientist, how to be a doctor, how to be an engineer, how to be a computer engineer, how to be an architect. We could have. Majority of us didn't want to. Fact of the matter is, it's not always what you want to do, it's what you need to do. My wife didn't learn credit from her parents. She taught herself. I learned working hard from my father. My father didn't teach me investing in the stock market. I taught myself. We're not perfect. Nothing is going to be perfect, but there's certain things we have to do that maybe our parents didn't do. We're going to be the first to do it. And if you didn't do it when you was in your 20s, you could do it now, but you don't have time to sit around and complain. You have to adapt. Mortgage is at an all-time high. Rent is at an all-time high. And you youngsters in your 20s, you need to pay attention to this because you're in a beautiful spot. I'm not here to tell you what you need to do, but listen, because there's value in this. Learn the game. Life is a game. You're going to have to play it, man. This isn't some jolly ollie, let's go to the park every day type thing. There's consequences to our actions. You have to accept when you was having sex, trying to lose your virginity, which is cool. I'm not knocking you. We all been there. You was putting in a lot of time with women and men that you're not even probably with today. The majority of us is not with any of the people we had relationships in the past. Is some of you going to say you needed that experience? Man, you've learned nothing. Experience is the best teacher. What have you learned from being in those relationships? That's why they call it puppy love. You was experiencing puppy love. You didn't know what the hell was going on. You was just going on. You was going along. You got to accept it. This is tough love talk. This is what my channel is about. You don't like it? You can keep strolling, man. It ain't about what somebody didn't teach you. What did you learn? What did you gain? Reality is free. You got to accept that. A fantasy, you going to have to pay for. Nobody's coming to save you. We all came out of our mother's womb by ourselves. We're going to be in that casket by ourselves. How to be real with yourself. Accept that everything you've been doing is why you're where you're at. Why you can't be a scientist? You can go to school and gain all the certificates, degrees, accolades it is to be a scientist and still go be a business owner. You ever seen situations where people are passing out in the public having heart attacks, and people are standing there and they say, I'm a doctor. Oh, you don't look like a doctor. These people went to school. They have the education. They have the experience. They just probably left the medical field to go be their own boss, to start a family, to work from home, to do something else. But they still have that experience. They have that right. They achieved the level needed to become a doctor, a scientist, an architect, an engineer, a math wizard. Just because they decided to go open up their own car dealership still doesn't take the fact that that guy or that woman went to school to be a doctor. See, you don't have to be a billionaire to be successful, but you can learn the knowledge and what it takes to become one. You don't have to be a billionaire investor to be successful, but you can learn how to invest. You don't have to own all the real estate in the world to be a real estate guru, but you can learn how to own real estate. You don't have to drive a Lamborghini, but you can learn how to buy one. You see what I'm saying? You don't have to have $1 million to learn how to make $1 million. You can learn it. And if you stop at 300,000, so be it. You could have kept going to get to $1 million, but you didn't need. Now you've decided what's worth it. Before you decide what's worth it, make sure you get on the other side. It's not worth it being a doctor. Well, get on the other side. What I always said is I believe it's worth it to be a doctor, but I know I don't want to be in a medical facility all the time, right? You still have to go through that process. We need doctors. I said I want to be in a position to where I can work and still be flexible with my family because I want to be around my wife and kids. I want to be a hard worker. I want to be the breadwinner. I want to be the provider, but I also want to be able to take my kids to the park any day of the week. That's why I work at night. That's why during the day I run my own delivery business. Food is essential. It's not going nowhere. Clothing, it's not going nowhere. That's what I do. Food, clothing, essentials. I deliver that to people's doorstep. I invest in the stock market. I learn the stock market. And at nighttime, guess what? I still deliver. I just do it in a truck, a semi. We need trucks. America is basically trucking. Everything is being delivered, right? I chose that path because it puts me in a position to be with my family. But we have to accept reality. I could have went to school and been a doctor. I didn't. I have to accept that. So when mortgages is at an all-time high, I can't sit back and cry and say, this is too much. Because there's a lot of people that are doing great. And they're blessed and they're fortunate. Some of us going to say they're lucky. Don't say they're lucky to dismiss the fact that they put in a lot of work. They put in a lot of work that most of us didn't put in. And that's what I'm trying to say here. You can't confuse luck with hard work. The harder you work, the luckier you get. But before you get that luck, you have to put that work in. It's like the lottery. Before you have that lottery, that winning ticket, you have to go buy that winning ticket. You have to pay for that. You have to put the work in. It may be $2. You still have to go spend those $2 to get that lucky ticket. You have to pick the perfect store, the store that had the winning ticket prior to the winning ticket being printed. You have to say, I'm going to go to this gas station, this store, this whatever, and I'm going to buy the ticket here. You have to accept. We got to accept what we're doing. We can't blame the world. We can't blame everything. I know a lot of us are not fortunate. I'm not saying it's going to be have and have nots. But why is there a shortage in almost everything? It's a job shortage. Or people are quitting left and right because it's not worth it. People have poor spending habits. So you can make $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year, but if you're spending money reckless because you're trying to look good or you're trying to show off to people you don't like, that don't know you or that don't care, that is your problem. That's not a society. That's you. You don't know financial literacy. You making all of that money and you're struggling. It's people making less and they're doing better than you, pound for pound, dollar for dollar. They drive a hoopty. You knocking them for having an old car, but you in your brand new car, you can't even keep your head above water. And you in a 1%. Everything is a shortage right now, but what? Spending. So what are we spending our money on? We have to face the fact that we don't know what the hell we're doing. And we're not trying to learn. We're trying to blame, or we're trying to pay somebody. Why would you pay somebody to do credit repair where you can just learn how to clean up your own credit? Why would you pay somebody to cook for you when you can learn how to cook? Why would you pay somebody to invest for you when you can learn how to invest? You got plenty of time. Some people on their phone all day strolling. You could have been reading a book on investing. You could have been reading a cookbook. You could have been watching a video on how to change a car tire or do an oil change. Now, some of us, we do know people. Like I like to say, spread the wealth. I know some mechanics that's doing mechanic work out of their homes. So I will take my car to this guy. His future goal is to own his mechanic shop. Here you go, man. I know you're going to charge me less than the car dealership. And you tax writing this off because you got an LLC. You use your home as a business. You use your home as your place of business. You write off everything at this particular spot. You're doing it the right way. You're starting from the ground up. I'm going to support your business. Right? But it's certain things that we don't know we can go learn ourselves. I'm teaching myself how to speak a second language. Yeah, I can go get somebody to teach me. I can pay them. I can also put the work in. And talk to people who already speak that language. It's the little things. I'm not saying go be a doctor, but certain degrees are not going to pay us well. And that's critical to our life. Finance. Everybody can be, right? True. But everybody keeps saying that. We all can't keep saying everybody can't be. Nobody's doing anything then. It's not even a 1% anymore. It's like 0.25% of the population that are not saying everybody can't be. And those are the people that are doing whatever it takes to be. And then the rest are saying they're lucky, they're hating, they're envious, they're jealous. Meanwhile, you're drinking, smoking, having sex on the regular. You're having so much fun. That fun ain't paying off at all for you. And you're suffering. You need to accept it. People living in their cars, I was there. You got 2-3 jobs? I wasn't working 60 hours a week. I was probably working 100. Tell me it's not worth it. Yeah, I'm on the other side now. Debt paid off. Everything I make, I keep. It ain't about how much money you make. It's how much money you keep. Get off these TikTok and YouTube apps and go put some work in. That's some tough love for your ass, man.